Buddy, to the Making Awesome podcast, which may be the last one of the year. I don't know yet. We are still figuring all that out because travel is a bit odd right now. But this is episode 212. We're going to be talking all about the Core 1 and fundraising for SMRRF, because if you watched Friday's video, then the thumbnail makes sense to you. If you didn't watch Friday's video, so maybe you should go watch Friday's video if you don't know what I'm talking about. Huge thank you to everyone that's here hanging out. Got a bunch of people in the chat already here live on YouTube. We got Max H. Diomedes is here. Nepo Muck is here. Who else we got? Oh, I got Matrix Tech, Mad Cat, Mike from Never Let the Machines Win, Runkle Stilled Skin, sure. Soundspark, Dark Third Dimension. Thank you all for hanging out with me. Some fun, I guess. I am making sure. Oh. Something's wrong with my internet. That's fun. Hopefully things stay stable. Love that for me. Anyways, is what it is. We're going to keep rolling, and I guess we'll call Spectrum when it's all done. So, all right. Thank you all for showing up. Let's talk about the Core 1. Right, the Core 1 was Prusa's first, I'm going to put consumer grade over it, but consumer grade Core XY printer. It's their first fully enclosed printer from the factory that I'm aware of that isn't a resin printer, because I think that's kind of cheating. I don't know. Eric says, hey there, long time since I checked in, but looking forward to seeing people at SMRRF. Hey dude, great seeing you. Looking forward to seeing you at SMRRF as well. So, just kind of looking at the specs of the Core 1 here, it's basically a Mark IVS, right? But it also now can go to 270 on the Z, so it's 250 by 220 by 270. I'm curious as to how they got an extra 20 millimeters on the Y-axis. I'll be very curious to see that, because we're going to go check out Prusa research. We're taking the flights already over to, SMRRF and Manchester and all that. Getting to Prague from there is pretty cheap. Overall, pretty cheap. So, we're just going to go ahead and, carry the flight over a little more and spend some time over in Prague, get lots of videos and things like that for you all. Just heading, if I'm lucky, if I'm lucky, we'll have a couple of days to kind of hang out. Soundspark says, have I checked the signal strength on my modem? I am hardwired directly into it. So, yeah. Michael says they use the free space on the sheet in the Y direction, front and back. That's what I was expecting too. My expectation is that's what they did. That technically the Mark IV and Mark IVS could go to 220 if you really wanted to, but none of us have actually ever done it, so we don't actually know how possible it is. Eric said he got to see the Core 1 at Formnext, but they were severely understaffed on Friday, so he couldn't get to talk to anyone unless he wanted to wait for it. And unfortunately, now was open source, right? One of the big things with Prusa is open source. And with the Core 1, not anymore. Great. The stream is absolutely terrible right now. Let me, is someone, no? All right, I guess I have to go reset things, and we're gonna start all this over again. Damn it, Spectrum. All right, give me a couple of minutes to reset my internet. Sorry, guys. I'm going to reset it, and we're going to start this whole thing over again. So, I guess it's not bad. Are we back yet? Let's see if we're back yet. Oh, no. It's just as bad. Okay. Well, I did everything I can do here, so we're God, that is so frustrating. All right, are you all able to see me? I'm just kind of waiting to see if this looks good to Ajax. All right, well, if it continues to be a problem, I'll let you guys know. There, and I just texted a tech person. Yeah, no, it's terrible. I will do what I can, guys. If it gets unwatchable, just let me know, and we will go ahead and end it. And it is what it is. I'm sorry. I wish there was something I could do. If this bothers you enough, and you're upset by this, send me an email. youtube@3dmusketeers.com. Please put Spectrum, SPECTRUM, in the title for me so that I can send all of those emails to Spectrum Corporate to show them that this is directly impacting the content that we're producing. Zerno says, yes, we can see you. You aren't John Cena. John Cena's local, which is fun. You guys say it's fine. I can see on my side that it's not fine. We're losing about 30% of the data that's being sent, but we will continue, and you know, we will see what happens. So, all right, let's just dive back into the Prusa Core 1, right? I'm going to kind of start all this over. If it works, great. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about this. This, as a lot of you know, this is just a consistent in my life. It will upset me, so I can see it. And for those of you that yell at me in the comments and say, oh, you shouldn't complain about your internet, nothing I can do. It's bad for business. Anyways, Mr. T-Brum with the $20. Thank you for the Smurf Fund. We will try to give away some filament. There's a link pinned there. And we will also, oh, what other fun stuff can we do? I don't know. We'll talk about what we're doing at Smurf this year. It's going to be awesome. Here, I'm going to take a photo of something real quick. Because I've got a Spectrum tech who happens to be watching right now, because I told him to watch. And so he can actually experience what it's like to see this. Anyways, Prusa Core 1, right? We were talking about that it's basically a Mark IVS, but it's taller. But it's also Prusa's first fully enclosed FDM 3D printer. I think this is a big step. And the price was way lower than I think any of us were personally expecting it to be. Seeing this machine under $1,000 as a kit, and I know after shipping it's going to be over $1,000, is pretty amazing. And if you're in the United States, certainly you're looking at politically what could happen in the next couple of months with potential tariffs and things like that, saying, oh, hey, $1,000 ain't that bad, assuming Czechia or the Czech Republic is not a country that ends up with a tariff. Because, yeah, brands, right? And unfortunately, right, a lot of us are okay with paying the Prusa tax, right? We are okay with paying it because one of the big things that we've wanted and what we got from Prusa has been open source, right? We've been supporting open source. That's a big deal. We love to support open source. That is amazing. We love it. It's perfect. It's beautiful. But the Core 1 is not open source. So that's the unfortunate issue that we're running into. And, well, there's a reason. The reason for the Core 1 not being open source is likely everybody copying exactly what Prusa does and just undercutting them, which I recognize that's business. They can do whatever they want, right? Especially in open source. You can do that stuff. But it has significantly hampered Prusa's ability to maintain, you know, market competition. Bamboo, while they didn't copy anything from Prusa other than the A1 Mini, we all know what that was. It was just a jab, and it's fine. It was above the belt jab. It's totally fine. But Bamboo has eaten away a lot of Prusa's market. Prusa's market, I guess. Sorry, I am flustered right now because my internet is so bad. I'm sorry. If I get flustered, I'm sorry. We might just have to end this stream. Because we keep dropping packets. The thing with Prusa now is that they're abandoning open source to some extent. And I can't necessarily say that I blame them. They've lost a lot of market share because of all of this. They've lost a lot of market share because companies like Sovol just dead on copying the Mark III, Mark III's, kind of the Mark IV-ish with the SV06 Ace. They've priced themselves out of the market. This source has only allowed those that have better efficiency or lower costs in their countries to be able to compete in a meaningful way. So, all right, forget it. Jacob said rate is okay while it makes you almost 10 frames a second at times. The audio is fine for a live stream. I'm getting to the point where I just want to end the show. Sorry, guys. But I'm all right. I'm going to try to keep going. If it continues to get bad, I'll just end the show. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm really sorry for those that watch this back or listen audio only. Yeah. APD says, why would I want an expensive slow Prusa when I can get a fantastic P1S? They screwed themselves. My Mars is faster than my Bamboo. For whatever that's, useful to you. And why would I want to support Prusa? Because Prusa's the reason that you have Bamboo in the first place. Prusa's the reason you have Bamboo Studio. Prusa's the reason you have Orca Slicer. Why would I support Prusa? Because Prusa's the reason you have consumer-grade 3D printing at this point. But Prusa did sit on their laurels. And I think the Core One is a bit of a wake-up call for them. And that's good. Prusa's kind of trying to catch up. Will they catch up? I don't know. I visited the factory before. It is not as efficient as you would expect. I love it. And in fact, you guys are going to see next week the actual tour. It only took us a year to get those videos edited. But we get to blur less in it, so that's cool. There's pretty much nothing we have to blur in the video now. So at least there's that. You don't miss anything. There were a lot of things that we had to blur previously, but as editing has taken longer and longer and longer, well, we don't have to blur anything anymore, so that's fun. Steve Builds dropping 20 memberships. Holy crap. Thank you, Steve. We're going to send you guys over to hang out with Steve at some point. Even if we have to send you over there early, we're going to send you over to hang out with Steve. But we got Brute Force got one, Kirk Luck got one, Dune591, Christopher Elliott, Mike got one, Beardface, Isaac, Ratmar, My Auto Essentials, Isaac, John, Nathan, Cybertech, David, Danoob. All right, Steve's dropping a bunch of memberships. Everyone say thank you to Steve. This Steve is awesome. I've now lost all the chat that was there. But yes, thank you, Steve. We're going to go have everyone go hang out with Steve here in a little bit. Mad Cat asks if Grant's Auto Essentials is my second account. No, but there are days where I feel like I should basically open a mechanic shop with how much work I have to do on cars. Nick T asks if there's been any news on the Bamboo lawsuit. That's actually something that Mitch and I forgot to really talk about last week, and it's why we haven't seen an open NFC standard, because one of the actual things that is a contention in the lawsuit with Stratasys and Bamboo is the NFC. That's a thing that Stratasys patented years and years and years ago. Let me see if there's been anything new. No. Well, I mean, I guess there kind of has been. So on the 29th, there was a proposed agreed docket control / scheduling and a protective or discovery order. So, what exactly that looks like yet, we don't know. But yeah, they're moving forward into discovery, and at some point, all of that will become public. But right now, it is not. Yeah. The Core 1 is an interesting machine to come out of Prusa, though. I'm trying to think of how much I can say about it. We'll just go with we're going to have one at some point. You know, my rep reached out. He's like, I'm just going to blindly assume you want to be a reviewer for the Core 1, you know, and you want to get one for a review, but I have to ask anyways. I'm like, you don't have to ask me. just tell me when I'm going to receive something in the mail. I'm excited for it. And I will say the thing that I wasn't expecting, that I was pleasantly surprised, is the fact that there is an upgrade path from the Mark IVS to the Core 1, which is kind of a big deal. Right? Where Prusa is saying Prusa made a commitment years ago to support future upgrading. Hell, the Mark IIIs Plus just got a firmware update recently. Like, just recently. And that's stellar. They're committing to giving you an upgrade path. Bambi2 says, I want to see a video of someone taking a Gen 1 i3 and upgrade it all the way to a Core 1. I really want to do this as well. In fact, Amber has a Mark IIs, and that's pretty far back, and that thing still gets updates. The problem with doing those updates and those upgrades is that at some point, I don't think there's any original parts that will stay with the machines that end up staying, but pretty much nothing will stay. Chris Hogan said MK4S worth the MMU. Yes, it will. Peter asks, I can't see how the upgrade will be reasonably priced. I actually think it's not bad. Now, to be fair, I think if you bought a Mark IVS recently and the Core 1 was just announced, yeah, you could be a little bit bummed about that. I could certainly see you being a bit bummed, right? But there is an entire upgrade path, which I do think is pretty cool. The MK4S to Core 1 conversion kit is currently $450, which, okay. That's not cheap. That's half the price of buying a Core 1, basically. Does it make sense to upgrade to a Core 1? Or does it make sense to keep a Mark IVS and then save a little bit of money and buy a Core 1, right? That's something that you'll have to decide. I think it's cool that they're doing it. Will a lot of people do that upgrade? I don't know, but I've got a great reason as to why you would. If you are going to enclose your Mark IVS, the cost of the enclosure is it's like $100 less than just going to the Core 1. Just go to the Core 1. It's a bigger printer. It will do the value of upgrading to the Core 1 instead of doing the enclosure for the Mark IVS is absolutely there. But if the enclosure doesn't do much for you, if you're just printing with PLA, PETG, whatever, then yeah, the Core 1 might not matter. Eric said, at least here in the EU, upgrading to the Mark IVS only makes sense if the Mark IVS is worth less than €560 secondhand, as that is the price difference between the conversion and the full kit. Yes, that's a thing too. This, in my opinion, brings up a great option for people that are going to buy a Prusa secondhand, like a Mark IV or a Mark IIIs Plus secondhand, and take it through the upgrade path. Because the upgrade path might be less than the Core 1. I think there's value to that. So, and as Bammy2 says, maybe some Core 1 will sell their Mark 4S. There's some value to that as well. People that don't want to go through the upgrade but want the latest machine, that for some reason don't want to spend the extra money to just go to the XL, they'll just go ahead and buy the Core 1 straight out and then sell off their old machine. Might be some value to it. Luke asked, think they might reduce the cost of the upgrade at some point. Right now, they probably want to focus on new sales. I don't know. Historically, Prusa hasn't reduced the cost of upgrades. Not in my experience. But maybe they will. We saw the price of the Mark IV and the Mark 4S go down. I don't know if those are permanent or if those are only for Black Friday. But I think the biggest thing for us to really discuss is the fact that the Core 1 is no longer open source. And it's a bit of a bummer. There are some things, like they've released the side panels, and I mean, the extruder is still open source because that is all from the Mark IV and the Mark 4S. But I don't know if that's more of a changing of the time, in that the community just doesn't care about open source anymore, or if there's something else, right? If it's a competition thing, people just don't care about it. It doesn't carry the value that it used to. If you've been in this industry for more than 4 years, right, you likely care a lot about open source because it is what you built your first machine on. Your first machine was likely because of open source. And that's pretty crazy. But if you got a Bamboo, you don't care about open source. In fact, you like the closed source that Bamboo has likely been providing you. A, value proposition, relatively affordable, everything like that. Big deal there, in my opinion. Eric says that if you have the Mark IV non-S, then it has to be worth at least $450, as you need to do the S upgrade to start the Core 1. I am hoping that they do a Mark IV to Core 1 upgrade, so you don't have to do the Mark 4S, then the Core 1. I just want to see one full upgrade. That would be nice. And that is if you put zero value loss from building a printer from used parts instead of new parts. Fair. It is a tough buy, I think, to make that upgrade. I think that upgrade really only exists because they've committed to doing it, but I would love to talk to people at Prusa, which we will be doing, about the Core 1, learn more about its history, the things that they went through, why they chose to have an upgrade path, try to learn a little bit more about why we've removed ourselves from open source, and try to understand it a bit better from a consumer standpoint. Because, I don't know, I'm the old man that yells at the clouds. You guys know this when it comes to open source. I love open source and I'm willing to pay more money for it. But now that we don't have open source, what is the value that we're being provided, right? Yes, the warranty's there. Yes, the customer support is there. Yes, printables is there. Yes, Prusa Slicer is there. But is that worth reasonably an extra $500? Cool. We're dropping enough pag. Zura says, what will we gain if it were fully open source? The ability to repair it yourself, make your own custom parts, and not have to reverse engineer everything yourself if you wanted to create custom parts. That's really the big thing, right? The fact that I can just go and 3D print replacement parts for my Mark 3S, my Mark IV, my Mark 4S, that stuff is a big value to me, especially when we always build the kits and we normally do upgrade. Right, where it's like, at least on the Mark 3S, there were ones where instead of having to like turn the printer on its side to put the Z-axis in, there were parts that the community made where you could just slide in the Z-axis, and it made it much easier to work on. The belt tensioners for the Y-axis and all that made the machine much easier to work on. And as a business, right, being able to quickly do that stuff, and especially doing it matters quite a bit. Brute Force asks, isn't it all metal and not printed? There will be printed parts on it. My assumption is they're going to be using a lot more of the PCCF and other high-temp materials that Prusa now has available, especially because this machine comes with an enclosure stock, right? It is already having the ability to get quite warm, and it tends to walk, if you will. The material starts to stretch a little bit, so just don't do that. But yeah, open source gives a lot of repairability that we don't normally see with other brands, right? Prusa would have to offer a robust level of spare parts if they didn't make it open source. So I'll be curious to see what level of spare parts that are now offered, and if we'll be able to get them easily from Printed Solid versus having to get them all the way from the Czech Republic. Bearded Printer with the $5. Thank you very much. Again, if you guys do want to support the fact that we are ad-free while we are, a couple of bucks kicked in that creator fund goes a long way. And if you do want to join and support us directly, the $10 tier and higher via Patreon, PayPal, YouTube channel members gets you access to our private Discord server, where I'll probably call Spectrum live in the server again, as I always tend to. Just Up If He says, many parts are open source. What could be closed source for this printer? A lot. Pretty much all of it except the extruder. I guess the buddy board, if they're using the same buddy board from the Mark IV and the Mark IVS, that would be open sourced, but your entire motion system on the machine itself would be closed source at this point. Now, being Core XY, it's not that difficult to figure out how it works or why it works, but closed source does make it harder for companies to clone you. Instead of just going to your GitHub and downloading everything, they have to buy a machine and completely reverse engineer it if they want to copy it. But I'm not certain that Prusa is the one to copy these days, right? We've been seeing pretty much everybody copying Bamboo. Be curious to see if the Core 1 brings back a lot of the the copying of Prusa. Justin Miller with the $2 says, Grr, F Spectrum. Defy, sure. 3D says, ironic, Prusa goes full tilt Bamboo. No, Prusa's been doing Core XY for a minute. You just don't recognize it because you probably don't own an XL. And enclosing a Core XY printer is not a Bamboo thing. It's been around for many years, well before Bamboo as a company even existed. And I hate that that's... Look at it now. They're saying, oh, Prusa went Bamboo. Prusa did make that Bamboo with 2 O's Core 1 as a... I mean, that punch was right at the belt line, okay? Any further, if you made it green, I would have said it was below the belt, right? They punched. They made very obvious jabs at Bamboo, as they should. I want companies to make fun of each other. I think it's fun. It's good in competition. I'm curious to see if the Bamboo Core 1, if it is a lot different or they just skinned it in raw Bamboo. Defy 3D says, I meant closed source, etc. Again, Bamboo's not the first one to do closed source. In the consumer industry, who was the first that I could think of? DaVinci, probably. DaVinci was probably... I mean, they even went full DRM on the stuff there. But, I mean, obviously, right, Stratasys would be the first. Stratasys or 3D Systems would be your first kind of companies that went closed source. Twixer says there's a sub-branded Big Tree Tech that makes aluminum parts for the 3D printed parts in the Voron. I guess they will do something similar to this. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense, right? It's Chaotic Labs, right? Is the sub-brand of BTT. I'm not certain if it is. Leet Bluebirds open with the open firmware. We know Prusa can't F with us like Bamboo. That's most important IMO. I'm not certain if they're going to leave their firmware open. They don't technically have to, do they? I mean, I don't think they have to. So I legitimately don't know. Is that a thing? It could very well be, but I don't know. I don't actually know how that works. Someone who understands open source more than I do could probably understand that. Mike said DaVinci wasn't closed to in Wanhao. Wanhao was based upon the i3, though. While they didn't operate fully open source, they were using open source designs. So I'm not certain I would call them closed source, but they were doing metal frame printers like well before it became a thing. So, you know, there's that. Just Grinder says still a fork of Marlin. Yeah, that's fair. I guess they would have to leave it open source, wouldn't they? Unless they decide to completely refresh their firmware from day one. I don't know. It's theoretically not that difficult to change the machine to work from a Cartesian to a Core XY, so yeah. Andrew Grundler says, just ask if you're in Prague. Yeah, we will. We will be going to Prague after SMRRF this year, so stay tuned for that. And I promise it won't take an entire year to get the effing videos done. I'm sorry. It's not what I wanted either. So it's going to be what it's going to be. My internet still is really rough, and it's starting to upset me enough that I'm not really staying on topic. So I'm going to talk about the fundraising for SMRRF, and then I'm going to let you guys go. We're going to basically run right up until 1 o'clock. I'm going to pitch it into Steve Builds, and then I'm going to go, because I'm so frustrated right now. I'm, like, unbelievably frustrated. So I'm sorry. Let's talk about fundraising for SMRRF. As a lot of you know, last year I shaved my head, right? Well, I didn't technically shave my head. A bunch of people shaved my head. We shaved my head for the Sanjay Mortimer Foundation live at SMRRF, raising over $6. Well, that's awesome. It was great. We love to do it. And I'm hoping that we can raise more money this year. Now, I can't grow my hair out that fast. It is a little bit long. I conditioned it heavily last night to try to soften it up some, and it gets poofy when I do that. But it's not as long as it was, and we won't be shaving it this year. But this year we will be doing a pie face. We were trying to do a dunk tank full of slime, but the venue said we couldn't do it because of the mess. But they said the pie face was fine, so we're doing that. The financial numbers are not set yet, but I will tell you there will be 3 options. There will be a D20 chance, a D6 chance, and then there'll be a guarantee. The goal is that we raise $10,000 this year from our foundation to be able to help neurodiverse makers get from where they are to where they want to be. My hope is to also help the SMF expand into the United States this year. They do have options with CAF America, but CAF takes a fair bit of the money that you donate to them, and you have to donate a fair bit of money for it to actually start to matter with CAF America. So I'm hoping that we can bring the SMF to the States as a proper 501c3 charity, and I'll be discussing that with them when I'm over there, because I do actually have some experience in that. Dark Third Dimension says, what about a Raspberry Pi face? That would be awesome. I should reach out to the Raspberry Pi Foundation and see if they want to do something. Because that would actually be really cool to be able to do that. You know, maybe it's like sponsored by the Raspberry Pi company. I don't know. I'll reach out. We'll figure it out. That'd be super cool. But that's what we're doing this year. I know it's not as crazy as shaving my head on stage, but you'll be able to pie me in the face for 2 days. It'll be at the end of both days so that I can go get cleaned up and I don't have to walk around with, you know, whipped cream all over. We also found out that we can't use dairy whipped cream because it starts to smell really bad really fast. So we found a non-dairy variant in the UK. So I'm actually excited for that. So it shouldn't smell that bad. But I'm hoping to be able to pull in some other content creators, people that you know, that you love, that you like. That's the kind of stuff that I want to start doing, where we are able to bring in other creators to also sit in that chair to be able to help raise money. Because it doesn't have to be about me. I don't want it to be about me. To me, it is about you guys, right? It's about raising money for charity, right? That's what it's about to me. It's about helping the community. It's not about anything else, right? That's what I want. Mike said maybe that's why they use shaving cream for pie for face decorating pies. We looked at shaving cream, but the problem is it stings quite a bit. So we could wear swimming goggles, which I think I'm going to do anyways because I don't want it in my eye. Because then my eyes can get all red and irritated, and I don't want that. But I don't mind looking like a fool to raise money. So if you're a part of our Discord or anything like that, you've likely seen all of this already. But if you aren't, I think you'll enjoy it. And the intention is to live stream. Baloo says, don't peer pressure people into the chair. I won't. I'm going to ask. If they say no, that's fine. If they want to, then hey, there's a seat and we can have some fun. But I am not going to peer pressure people. I don't think that that's fair. You know, that's not nice. So that's the plan. We were hoping for something way more elaborate, but all the big elaborate stuff was very quickly shot down either by myself or by the event venue. Throw me out of a plane with a live stream on it. But it's UK in December, so you're not going to see anything. And, you know, that would suck if something actually went wrong. If something goes wrong here, I get like a broken nose or something, or a black eye. That's not that big of a deal. If something goes wrong when you're throwing somebody out of an airplane, it goes pretty wrong. Yeah. So I guess that's really it. I don't know. I'm getting really upset about the internet. So I don't really know what to do. I'm sorry, guys. If you want me to keep going, I can keep going. But it's disheartening to deal with this all the time. It's incredibly disheartening that I pay money every single month and I never get what I get. I never get what I'm supposed to get. If you guys want me to keep going, I will keep going. But yeah. Cybertech says it's not too bad at all. Keep going. All right, we'll keep going. I really believe in what the SMF does. If that's not obvious, right? I really, really believe in the SMF. I believe that there are a lot of people all over the world who would uniquely and heavily benefit from something like the SMF. Want to raise money for them. It's why I raise money for them every year. And it's why I want to open an SMF division here in the United States. Because when it's a tax write-off, it's really easy to raise money in the States. It's really easy to raise money in the United States when it's fully tax deductible. You can just go to a business and be like, hey, I'm raising money for neurodiverse people in the 3D printing industry. Right? That's the stuff that I like doing. And if that means we can really help a lot of people, damn it, I'm here for it. I love 3D printing. I love this industry, but I recognize that there are people who are not as privileged as I am, or privileged as many of you, right? They're struggling to, you know, really, one, either learn and get the experience they need, or they're struggling to financially afford even a cheap $100 ender to be able to learn something. And charities like the SMF make that kind of thing possible. And that matters a lot. I want to see more of that happen. Morton Larson said, how about a water dunk tank where you throw an airlet when where you throw an airless 3D printed ball. We were told we could not do a dunk tank. We wanted to, because that was actually the idea. The idea was that we were going to 3D print objects. They would be random objects, but different objects have different flight characteristics. So you could choose from different objects for different amounts of money to hit it. And of course, we would have the, here's my money, I'm going to go hit the button with my hand, right? The other thing with the dunk tank was that I was going to be heckling you the whole time. So yes, you were able to dunk me, but I was going to sit there and heckle you. Because that's fun. It's fun to heckle people. And, you know, when it's for charity, the guy that's getting dunked is totally allowed to heckle. As the guy getting dunked, I think that's fair. Ajax says by random, you mean different size benchies, right? No. I'm not certain the Benchy has a commercial license for that kind of stuff. We were not planning on the Benchy. We were planning on other things. But we can't do it, so it doesn't matter anyways. But still, you know, I think it's kind of fun. See, Mike says heckling is kind of why we are here. Yeah, Mike, that's like half the reason most of you people are here. You're here because you like heckling, and it's fun, and that's okay. But there's a difference between, I'm trying to think of like the right terminology for it, right? The difference between heckling and being a jerk, I guess. Thankfully, most of you understand. But it is something that happens from time to time where people don't understand it. I'm looking forward to it, though. And I hope that you all will be there to support the SMF, support myself, to support the team at 3D Musketeers, and yeah, just, you know, support us in helping raise money for charity. Right now, my number is like, we will see. I'm very interested in seeing what happens this year. I'm really hoping that we can beat last year, but we might not. But I go to this event, and we're going to this event with no sponsor. Every single dollar this year is coming out of our own pockets, which is rough. That's rough. But that's okay, because to me, it's about helping people in this community. So, kind of thing, leave a like, get subscribed, and all that. Sorry, I keep seeing that I get disconnected, and it's really, really frustrating. And yes, people are now realizing that the Benchy is non-derivative. So you can't make it smaller, you can't make it bigger, that's derivatives. So yeah. Baloo said, and hotels in Manchester are stupidly expensive. The hotel in Manchester is costing me more than the flight to Manchester. Mind you, the flight to Manchester was like less than $500 a person. We bought it at the right time. The hotel in Manchester is like $800 for the few days that we're there. So, that's fun, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm okay with selling 3D printers and materials a couple of years back. That's fair. I don't disagree with that, Eric. But, you know, if we're going to be, you know, putting open source up on a pedestal and, you know, talking with Adrian Boyer and people like that that are responsible for the open source that we love in this industry, you know, violating licenses is not a great way to do it. Adex says, that's a good deal. My flight was $800, but he had to fly from Denver versus Florida. We're flying Iceland Air. That's pretty cheap. But that's because Orlando is one of the places they fly out of. WI or Boston, those are the other major airports they fly out of. But I normally fly the budget airlines so that we can spend more money on experiences and taking you guys places. And we've got some really awesome stuff planned for after Smurf, with a massive thank you to Construct 3D for setting that kind of stuff up. You'll be hearing more about it, but if all goes right, it's going to involve race cars and metal 3D printing. So That's going to be awesome. You know, if everything lines up. Jorvik says we're staying in an Airbnb this year. We looked at that, but we couldn't find Airbnbs that were, like, objectively much cheaper than the hotel. And the conference hotel is very valuable to us because we don't have to deal with the BS. So, yeah. Ouch on the hotel in Manchester is up north, so cheaper than a lot of England. No, man, it was way cheaper to be in Oxford than it was to be in Manchester. And we had a great Airbnb in Oxford. And, like, oh my gosh. All right, Airbnb people, like the owners of Airbnbs, if you're listening to this, if people that are staying with you put things on their profiles and you go the extra way to help them find things that talk about their profile, do you know how much that really matters? Like that's a big deal. Soundspark says perhaps good news if they go to symmetrical means that they may test their alliance for signal integrity. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I am excited to go back to Prague, though. Last year we went to Paris. I still have to post those videos. Maybe we'll do that when we're gone. We'll upload a lot of the behind the scenes stuff from London and Paris and all that. Nick TS, if I thought about trying 5G mobile internet. My house has steel studs, and it's a concrete house because Florida. But we have thought about going to a 5G backup. That is a current, thing. Jorvik says dropouts are getting worse. Not sure if it's on his end. It's not. It's all my end. Look, it's close enough. I'm going to call this one a show. I'm sorry, guys. I'm pissed. I'm going to go call Spectrum, and it is what it is. The year, it might not be. I'm not certain, but well, our last podcast for the year, it might not be. Maybe we'll do one from Prague. We'll see. But if I'm going to see you all at SMRRF, please say hey. Please come up, take a photo, spend some money, try to pie me in the face. And if you do win to pie me in the face, come take a selfie with me, please. I do without getting pie on you as well. So just know, if you come up to take a photo with me getting pie face, you're in the splash zone too. Thank you all for hanging out. And as Amber says, thanks for sticking with it. We'll hopefully see some of you all very soon. And those of you that don't, we will do our best to live stream it. I figure the internet at the event can't be worse than it is here. Knocking on wood. So, Eric says there's likely an even higher chance people getting pissed in Prague due to the cheap good beer. That's fair. There's great beer in Prague. I'm gonna go send you guys to go hang out with Steve. I'm sorry. I wish it was different for this episode. It's gonna be what it's gonna be, and I'm very sorry. But there's Steve's. That's really it, y'all. I will see you all later. Take care. We'll see about doing some more streaming when we get back, but this might be the last podcast episode for the year. We'll find out. That is all we have for you all today. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome without crappy internet. See you later. All right, let's give away some filament. So frustrated, man. I'm unreasonably frustrated right now. Like, I'm fuming, and I am doing my best, my physical best, to not just have a panic attack. I'm so upset by this. All right, I'm turning off the responses. There's 29 people. We'll give away one spool. Thank you to all of you that have supported the channel. I can't thank you enough through a lot of the BS that this all goes through. Thank you. Thank you. All right. One spool. Who's it going to? Make sure they did the math right. I'm fairly certain they did. Justin Miller. Justin Miller and Zerno, the two of you have the exact same number, the verification number, and you all entered right after each other. You put in Jenny's number. So that's always funny. All right, Justin Miller, you want a spool? Reach out to me, I don't know, Twitter, Blue Sky, or Discord. So that's it, y'all. I'll see you later. Sorry for the short stream. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Take care. Go hang out with Steve. I don't know. His internet's probably better, and he'll have a cat cam. So that'll be fun. We'll see you later. Take care.